Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Darshawn McAway. You're tuned in to wowpodcast.me. That's WOWPODCAST.me. Today we have a special guest. We have Kalee Boisvert. She's back again for the second time. Kalee, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. So since the last time we spoke, how has life been for you?
Oh, I'm trying to think like when's the last time. I mean, it's been good. I've been living my own abundant life, lots of travel. So I always had a very big financial goal. One of my big financial goals was travel. And I've been very intentional about that and doing a lot more of that. So I think we've been on like 5 trips so far this year, which is amazing.
Oh, so which was the last trip? Where did you go?
Disneyland.
Okay.
It's one
So is Disneyland, is that the one in California or Florida?
California. Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
So did you get an opportunity to do all the rides or just a few?
I would say almost because we did 3 days. So I would say we got pretty much all of them done.
Got you, got you. So let's talk about your books. Um,
Yeah.
what's the latest and the greatest? How has it been? Make money your thing.
It's good. Like it's now officially been a year since Make Money Your Thing came out. And that's crazy. Like it feels like that snuck up on me and happened really fast. But I'm just as passionate about it as I ever was. Like I made the book very much in a way where it wouldn't really like expire or something like that or be out of date with the change in the world and economics and things like that. So I tried to make it something that people could read anytime and that wouldn't drastically change if the markets changed or something like that. So I'm still very proud of it and something that I highly recommend for people that are wanting to just engage in a little bit more financial literacy in a way that's easy, fun, approachable, not intimidating. Yeah, but really just to build on that financial knowledge, which I think all of us could use a little bit more of.
Right, absolutely. Now, let me ask you something. I'm not for sure if you know any tips on it or anything, but what's happening with the currency? Are they trying to deplete it? Like, what do we need to look forward to?
Mm. Well, I mean, it's tough to say. Like we can look out into the world of all the, investment professionals and analysts and things like that and kind of gather those opinions. And by doing so, you might be even more confused than when you started, hearing kind of opposing opinions and things like that. But I think for people, the same thing that as always kind of rings true. It's like stick to your financial goals. Try to really look big picture, long term, especially for your longer term goals, like things like retirement and whatnot. Um, and have that be your focus because there's always going to be big events going on and it changes through time. It's what's ever happening in the markets or the economy or presidential election coming up, all those things. And so what's on our radar right now is what it is, and what's going to happen in the next month, 2 3 or years, we don't really know. But the thing is, unpredictable things happen all the time. I think we can all agree on that. And so what you can do is just really stick to the things that you do have control over because there's going to always be a lot that's happening and a lot that we don't have control over. But what we always have control over is things like making a priority to invest ongoing, making a priority to save money ongoing, having a good awareness of where you stand with your finances. So, taking time to review things every so often, look at your expenses, look at where you stand as far as your net worth. And I talk about that in the book of how you create your own net worth statement. So, those are things that you can control and you can do something about. So, when it does feel like there's a lot happening and you're kind of being pulled in all these different directions, come back to that. Hey, what can I do right now? What's something that's in my abilities that I can control, that I can actually have an impact on?
So let me revisit that net worth portion. How
Yeah.
does that work? Just give me a little synopsis on that. If I wanted to figure out like my net worth, like how do I put that together?
Yeah. So it's sort of like your balance sheet, essentially. Like when we're valuing businesses that we might want to invest in, we look at the balance sheet. So just like that, we can create our own net worth statement. So it's essentially made up your assets and your liabilities. So assets are things that you own, and liability are things that you owe. So for instance, your home asset would be like the amount of equity you have already in your home. So you could, on the asset side, put essentially what your home is worth if you were to sell it. And you can give like an approximation. Obviously, it could be changing, week to week and month to month, but you can think of like, okay, recently in the neighborhood house is sold for this much. So I think mine's worth about this. That's on your asset side. Then on your liability side, if you have any mortgage remaining, you'd want to put the balance there. So that's going to help calculate out the actual equity you have in the home. So again, assets is everything you own. So things like your home, retirement accounts, tax sheltered accounts, savings accounts, things like that. And then liabilities are things that you own, like credit card balances, line of credit, mortgage amounts, and those sorts of things. So add up all your assets, add up all your liabilities. Assets minus liabilities gives you your net worth.
Right.
So it's great to have this, like whether it be on a scrap piece of paper or a spreadsheet, have it with you and update it with any big life events, or at least maybe on an annual basis is a great time to check in on that. And again, it just helps you understand your standing, like where you're at in your finances, because ultimately we want to grow our net worth. And so if you're tracking it year to year, or as big events occur, we should see that amount increasing as we get older. So if your net worth right now is low or negative, completely okay. Like it's not a judgment exercise or something like that. It is just a matter of finding out, being aware. And it's a nice way to kind of have everything in one place too. So if, something were to happen, if you're, in a relationship or something like that, you guys both have this. So you know where the accounts are and where things are at and whatnot. So it's a great piece to have in your whole kind of like financial literacy, or your when you're really kind of engaging and trying to get really empowered with your finances. It's a great awareness piece.
Good deal. So you have a podcast. How long does your podcast last? Is it like a short one or like a 2 hour one?
It's 30 minutes usually, the episodes, sometimes
Okay.
shorter, sometimes longer.
Okay. And you typically talk about wealth and whatnot. How often do you do your podcast?
The podcasts they were weekly episodes. Yes.
Okay.
So, and they're all like, they're topics related to money topics and wellness and well-being topics, because we can't like neglect sort of the impact of like our wellness and our well-being and health and wealth, and it all kind of fits together. So that's, sort of the connection of that wealth and wellness
Right.
piece.
And you offer consultations?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, tell the audience where they could like reach out to you and do some
Yeah.
consultations with you.
So a great place to reach out is on my website, which you've brought up and shown on the screen here. And you could just reach out for me on the contact form there. And I have what's called just a discovery meeting, where I learn a little bit more about you, answer questions you might have. So a lot of people, sometimes it's just a few basic questions, and I can, share some of that expertise with you, answer it, and people are happy and on their way, and that's it. And sometimes those questions lead to more, and people wanting a little bit more support, hand holding, kind of an accountability partner, and that might mean actually looking to work together and whatnot. But I love the ability to chat with people, because there's so many questions people have, and sometimes the world of like Googling when it comes to your finances can be a little bit tough, because you can find sort of conflicting opinions. So it is a great opportunity, just if you have, a question that's been burning about finances and you can't quite get the right answer, or you're seeing that people are saying different things or whatnot, definitely reach out on my contact form there.
Now, I noticed something that's been going around, and I haven't paid attention to it, and I'm gonna see if you have been paying attention to it. There was a time in us coming up that if you had your cell phone on the floor, that you would typically get fired from your job. In today's time, it seems like most of the corporations are embracing their employees to do social media. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I think so. Social media, it's like it's such an amazing like platform now to reach out to so many people. So yeah, I agree that it is definitely widespread, widely used, and more so like expected that we have these skills too that some of us don't quite feel like they fully have, like
Right.
myself.
So you're pretty active on social media. You have Instagram. Now on Instagram, you just typically just more so promote your book, or you do anything kind of funny to kind of pull people in.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I should do more funny, but I do kind of whatever comes up when because I'm always talking to people like clients and new people that obviously like you start to see these trends and what's going on with finances and what people want to learn more about. So I like using it as like an educational platform. So if there's a certain topic or kind of misconception or whatnot that comes up, I love to share it on there. And then I've also really like leaned in a lot to lately is that money mindset piece and the abundance and manifestation, because there's been a lot of negative things happening in the world as it relates to our finances, sorry, with inflation and interest rates increasing, things like that, that people have been very stressed. Like money is coming up as the top source of stress for most people. So what I've wanted to do a lot of lately is that what can we do? Again, what can you do in these situations? Well, maybe we can work on our mindset. And I understand that when times are tough and when it's really stressful, it's really hard to get out of that and to think, what's on the other side or to think positively. But if there's even like little kind of changes, like I share just even affirmations that maybe instead of on repeat, these negative thoughts about, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get out of debt or something like that. It's, can you change that to have more of a positive idea of money, or I'm finding creative ways to save more money, or whatever that is, that affirmation. And then I did recently share some like journal exercises to help with just kind of switching that mindset piece, because again, if we have had a lot of external negative news and things going on in the world, especially with concerning money, then it takes a bit of time to like get out of that ourselves and think more positively. So I shared some abundance mindset, kind of mindset makeover journal prompts for people. And that was
Right.
what I was sharing recently. So it changes with like what's going on and, what's important, I think, or what people are talking about for sure.
Yeah. So should there be a little bit of a concern if most of us aren't multimillionaires by the time we're like in our 60s or 70s? Because it seems like that was the goal in the beginning, like to become a millionaire by a certain time so you can retire.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. There's a lot of pressure. And I'd like to remind people it's different for everyone, that number. I think I saw a stat that said something like people think that the average amount you need to retire is 1.8 million. And it was a US stat, I'm pretty sure, the one I saw. So that's what people think you need to retire. Okay, that definitely does align for some people with what they'll need. But it's not like that for everyone. So I would say it's that whole, try to focus more on your own like goals and needs and what you're striving, because that number could be way higher for certain people that have, bigger type goals of like, I want to be able to travel and, go anywhere and spend any amount of money. And then there's people that are like, hey, I don't spend a lot of money and I'm happy like with the lifestyle I have and I like how my spending is now, and then they might not need as much. So I think we have to embrace like our money uniqueness and know that yes, there are these numbers out there, and they could be based on averages and things like that. So do kind of really embrace your own uniqueness and find out what that might be for you, because it could be that number very
Right.
well, and it could be a lot less, and you might be closer than you think, because I think you have to remember you're, maybe you're working and you're in like a 401k plan and these other things, like your employer is matching your contributions. And so that's a big addition to those retirement finances. And you might find that you're actually well on your way to that goal, just with the power of compounding and time, that you're actually going to get there. So a fun tool to see what that might look like is there's compound interest calculators, and you can just get them online if you don't have like a financial calculator or something like that. But I always jump on there and I go like, this is what my balance is now. And
Yeah.
this is how much I, hope to save every month. And what's that going to be in 10 years? Oh, what's it going to be in 15 years? So I don't know if I'm the only one who likes doing that, but
I think you're good.
yeah, it's
Ladies,
a good thing to do.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Kalee Boisvert. Go check her out. Go to her website. She can get you steered in the right direction. She definitely has a lot of knowledge about what happens in finances. Kalee, thank you so much for coming on to Wow Podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me again. That's awesome. Thank
No
you,
problem.
everyone. Okay.